Okay, Mike, so I thought it would be kind of fun to hit you with some rapid, quick fire, OK Corral questions, and you can shoot back some answers to me. Oh, are you up for it? This goes, I know before I ask if you're up for it, this goes against everything that you like to do. You're all about you're all about the process. You're all about documenting on it. I mean, if you haven't put it on paper 3 times and erased it and written down and retyped it, it can't go public. But let's just do it a little bit differently, right?
Let's give it a go. Put me on the hot seat.
Okay. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. If we have time, we're going to do 2 bonus questions. These are random questions. Have you looked at these yet or not?
I did a quick scan and
Okay.
then decided not to think about it. So I'm
Okay.
kind of on the spot here.
Okay, good. That's great because that's usually how I handle most of these podcasts. I just like to just do a quick scan and really not think about it. So now we're on the same page.
I love it.
Okay, you're gonna have 5 minutes and to share your thoughts and we'll go from there. So the first question, it's a personal one. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Okay. It is, what is your favorite food and vacation memory from more than 10 years ago? So you can't give me one that you just did this year. I want to get a food that's your favorite and then a memory that sticks out from at least 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm going to combine these, Brian.
You're going to combine a food as a memory that you had?
Well, both. They're an event that where the food was served. How's that sound?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now this one you may be familiar with this, but so we had our 15th annual, we call Gordy Fest, up at our place in northern Wisconsin over the 4th of July holiday. So early on, on the 4th of July, what do? You have hamburgers, you have hot dogs, all that kind of thing. And then of course ribs, and that becomes a little, cumbersome. So I had a turkey fryer. Now, many people in the Northwoods here, have a turkey fryer, right?
Absolutely.
Now, I'll tell you what though, I've never done a turkey in it.
What? Are you serious? You've never done a turkey in it?
I've done fish, we've done fries, we've done corn. So we parboil sweet corn, right, and then freeze it, right, for the winter. So, but I had found
Are you chicken?
a recipe. Yes.
I just had to throw in another bird there. Dad humor 101.
But we did a low country boil. And now you're probably very familiar with these. But the low country boil, and you'll see variations, but it is, if I remember right, it's potatoes, corn on the cob, shrimp, and then we actually throw in ring bologna, as a meat. And
wait,
I
ring
tell you
bologna?
What, yeah. What do they call? What are they like? Kielbasa.
Oh, like sausage or kielbasa. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're calling it ring bologna. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's in a ring, right? When you get it from the store, it's wrapped in a ring.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Where you been? It's like you're.
Well, obviously, I've been in the rest of the world that calls it kielbasa or sausage, but obviously I've been wrong, and so have 7 billion other people, and they just need to adapt to the way Wisconsinese
just tell me one ring bologna, man, and they're going to come back with it.
Yeah, they're going to come back with a. I'm going to get hit with a sausage to the head. Let's say that in New York City. What are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's such a great event to do that. So this takes a little while, right? Because I forget the exact. So I think you put the potatoes in first. So this is a big turkey fryer with 2 big baskets, right? Fire up the propane. I think you put in potatoes first, then you put in the kielbasa, then the corn, and then I think then the shrimp at the very end.
And when do you put in the ring bologna?
That's second. Smart Alec.
You hate this already, don't you?
You got to put the Old Bay in there. but the fun part is, so we have, lots of people, lots, a dozen or 2 dozen people that attend, and big tables. So traditional way of doing this is you lay out newspaper or butcher block paper on the table. So we have 2, picnic tables spread out, and they're kind of watching. People's kind of watching. Go, what's going on? And everybody's saying, well, where's the serving containers and all that? So just wait, just get the table set up, and and of course we get done and we dump those 2 baskets in the middle of the table and spread out this stuff, with some clean utensils. But it was such a fun event. One, it's easy to do. So in Wisconsin, like up in Door County, they do I think they call it like a fish boil. So they do, but it's mostly I think potatoes and fish. So some have had that experience, but to sit at a table with couple dozen people, and you throw all this food in front of them, right? So you've got this spread of corn and shrimp and kielbasa.
I love it. I love it.
Potatoes.
So when did you first do this?
So this would have been, probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago.
And have you done it every year since?
No, we kind of skip back and forth. We do, we do like the ribs, so those got to come back in every once in a while. But that's a good, 6-hour. No, I love doing that because you have to have, so many beers while you're doing it. And, there's a lot of care and, a lot of techniques for that. But it was just such a great event, especially on the 4th of July. Try something new. And we'll do that at home when we have a good group of people coming here. We'll throw a low country boil, and so that's such a great memory for myself and my family.
That's great. Okay.
And being harassed by you about ring
for
bologna,
sure.
So
okay,
that's just adding to it.
Ready for number 2?
2.
Number 1 problem for small businesses right now, in your opinion? People. Okay. And
people.
And then the follow-up to that one is, and a quick fix solution.
So it's funny. There's a group of guys I get together with every week. And we talk about how to use the things that we've been talking about, Brian, to improve businesses, right? And learn from each other. And I'm trying to find a better way of saying we have a people problem, because I hate putting people and problem together. Is such a bad thing.
I hate it, but it's it's really tough to find it. Yeah.
So let's call it an engagement problem, right? It really is an engagement problem. And what you're finding is people are burned out. They're working for, and it's not, some companies are just bad companies, right? And they run them a very particular way, which is not a good environment. Others, they're doing their darndest, right? Small business owners are trying to keep their head above water, trying to provide for their families, for their employees' families, just trying to keep things going, and they're struggling to do that. So a lot of, especially younger folk now, are having a heck of a time finding a place to work where they actually enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah.
So the whole idea for them is, I'm doing this just to provide money to do anything else other than do the work. So the big problem is getting people in the first place. How do you attract people? And is there something unique about your business? And if you do the things you and I have been talking about, Brian, about how to increase engagement, you'll get to be known for a fun company to work for. And then 2, once we get you, can we keep you? And that means ongoing engagement. That's heavy lifting. So it's interesting. We just wrapped up our KPI trilogy. I can tell you this, Brian, if you started with that, if you really, either you have existing KPIs and process measures, or you develop them, and you go through that 3-step process, and that's all you did, having that involvement with the team on saying, here's how we do things, here's where the problem areas are, here's the things we're going to do to fix it, and they engage in that going forward. I'm telling you, Brian, that's not a silver bullet. It's a hard work. It sounds simple. It's hard work to do this day in and day out on top of everything else you're doing. You do that, you will start to see engagement change almost overnight with your team.
Yep.
And you'll start to see your team have more fun. Your customers coming in are going to feel a different environment. There's no doubt about it. They're going to feel something's different here because your team is happier. They're more engaged with not only with the ownership but with the customers. They're having fun, and pretty soon people are talking about, hey, this is a great place to work. We're having
Right.
so darn much fun here.
Right.
So again,
I
the number
agree.
one issue is the engagement issue across the board everywhere. If you look at Gallup, I get their weekly emails, and it's terrible what's happening with engagement. It's been bad and it's getting worse. And on our small part, Brian, I think we've provided a simple framework to just come straight into the business and say, if you did just this and you could sustain this over the long term,
Yeah.
you will see engagement improve. You'll have higher retention, and you'll find it easier to get people hired.
Yeah. And part of the training that I do actually builds on that, because that's exactly what I saw, was the fact that it was the people problem was number one with all the small businesses, almost to the point that I stopped asking. And it was, so now we cover it's acquisition, it's engagement, and it's accountability. Those three, when they're set up, small businesses usually fall into one of two categories. The owners do, I believe. They're either overly, almost draconian in their way of, in their presence, and being a little too over the top. And then the other, and that drives engagement down. They are demanding everything from their employees, and that drives engagement down. The other ones are the ones that you were mentioning, and those are the small business owners that are there every day and want to do the best job and make their business the best. And in so doing, they end up doing too much and having the employees actually do too little. And that drives engagement down on the employee side, when actually they just want to make things easy and love and support their employees, but they're kind of cutting them off at the knees. So it's, engagement goes both ways. It's, you can hurt them with a little being too soft and just doing too much for them, which is actually a big problem with family owned businesses. So anyways, I agree with you 100% there. So ready
How'd
for
I
number
do?
3? You're doing great. You're doing great. Now you're overtime though, because of my answer. So no, you're not. You're good. Number 3, the number one opportunity for small businesses right now, and how they can best seize that opportunity, in your opinion. And that's a super broad question that goes across industry. So if you want to focus in on one industry, that's fine. Go ahead.
I think the number one opportunity, and Brian, you and I talked about this over the last couple of days, because we haven't revisited it, is AI. And a very intentional approach to using AI within your business to support your team, not replace your team, to support your team. And we've talked about this. If you don't have a strategy around AI, that doesn't matter, because it's being used in your business. Your team has acquired AI tools on their phones, on their computers, and they are absolutely using those tools to do their work. Wouldn't it be great to say, hey, can we pile all these AI tools, right, virtually into the middle of the room and say, what is everybody using? How are they using it? The downside to this is, if your team is doing it on their own and they're using free versions, we talked about this, and if they're providing confidential information about the company, those AI tools are learning on your content,
Right.
on your data. So you want to
And
make
able
sure
to
that,
share it.
right. And so this is why companies should think about, not even think about, but should be doing this, is getting paid versions of these AI tools in place, and then strategically place them in the business to augment, to support the team. Because if you can take the menial stuff away, and I'm not being demeaning, but if you can take the things away, that if you can get the team to not have to focus on the busy work and then focus on improving. So I keep going back to our trilogy. if they can spend more time on making improvements, because AI is doing some of the heavy lifting on some of the more basic things in the business, how fantastic is that? And you have to use these tools. Like you talked about back in the day, people said, well, we're not going to use the fax machine. And then it became, if you didn't have a fax machine, you were in trouble. Then it was, we're not going to use the internet. And then if you didn't have the internet, you were in trouble as a business. It's the same thing with AI. And it is changing so fast. Who cares? Who cares? There are some tried and true tools out there that have been there for some time. You can see where the money's going. Get those basic tools in place. Once you get further advanced, you can actually look at, true automation, doing process improvements using AI tools. But if you're just looking at learning the tools internally, learning from your team, imagine what your individual employees are doing at home with these tools, and they're bringing those smarts into work. And again, unless you're talking about it, it's being done sort of behind the scenes, and you're putting your company at risk. But you bring all that together, talk about it, and then have a strategy. And the strategy may just be, hey, we're going to use these 4 tools. We have licenses for them. We're paying for annual memberships for those, and these are the ones we would like you to use. Here's where we think there's an opportunity. But again, like we talked about with the
Let's
KPI
try it
thing,
out.
if you look at
Let's
where
try it out and meet.
let's try it out. Tell us where
Yep.
you think you want to give it a try, and let's run experiments. How fun is that?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's try it out, put the power in their hands, and then let's measure it. Let's see how much it's helped you guys in the next 2 weeks. Has it been more cumbersome or has it been less? Has it really worked? Absolutely. And it's a great tool to use.
The interesting thing I'm finding is, I ask, in my kids just roll their eyes when we're in a group, and I'll ask them, what's your company doing with AI? And I don't care the size of the business, Brian. I don't care the age of the person. Almost to a T, they don't know. They have no clue. And then I ask them, are you using AI? No, not really. I'm not going to say, you're going to be in trouble, but I would say this: you need to figure out how to use AI and use it in the right way, meaning use it as a coach, a personal coach. Don't use it to offload your thinking. And this is where they're starting to show with studies that people's cognitive abilities are being impacted because they're offloading the hard stuff.
Yep.
And they're having AI do it. Look at the easy stuff. Have AI ask you questions. We've talked about that in a prior episode where you can actually set it up as a coach. Those are incredible opportunities to use it, enhance. But any way you look at it, you should have at least one AI tool that you focus on and use on a daily basis if you can. And if you're not using it at work, let your boss know, let the owner know that, hey, we should take a look at this, and raise your hand and say you'd love to be the one to help bring AI into the business.
Okay, great. Okay, got to keep moving here. I love it. That is so true. It's, and that goes for every business should be using AI, if only for content creation on marketing. Just get your foot wet with that. There's so much more that you can do, but at least use that and utilize that. And a lot of the softwares that you're probably already using, like Canva or Aweber or MailChimp, they're probably already utilizing AI, and you can maximize their tools right in there and kind of break the ice that way. Okay, number 4. If you could tell a young entrepreneur anything, what would it be?
Make a plan, surprise, but don't hold that plan so tight, right, that you can't change it. So we've talked about this, Brian. Have a goal, have a primary aim, whatever it is, your North Star for your business. Build a plan to start moving towards that, and use experimentation to get there. And I think without a doubt, Brian, very quickly you're going to find that primary aim you have, that North Star, is solid, and just a matter of working towards it and knowing that you're going to meander, right? This isn't like going straight down the river, right? You're going to meander through things. You're going to run into obstacles, but start with that primary aim, that North Star, build a plan, start to make progress towards that, run lots of experiments, document those, and then be willing to make a change in your approach, number one. And if you have to continue to change your approach, you need to take a step back and ask the question if your primary aim or your North Star is appropriate or not. And it could just be a gnarlier thing that you're trying to do. But Brian, if I would have known about and saw what I know now in terms of using tools to do experimentation and to show flexibility in doing and making improvements and moving towards what they used to call them, big, hairy, audacious goals, the BHAGs.
Right.
If I would have known what I know now, that's why I always say to younger people, don't set the stage for failure, meaning I know exactly where I'm going to go. I know exactly how I'm going to get there. And then as soon as they run into an obstacle, they quit.
Right.
Or they feel like they can't overcome that.
So
everything's flexible.
Here's a question that I'd like to ask you. If you had to describe the perfect entrepreneur's personality in like 1 word, 2 word, 3 words, just given, just an adjective or so, just to describe, or I guess it'd be an adverb to describe their personality, what would they be? They would be this, and this. And this isn't on here. So I'm just curious.
I think they would be, I think curiosity is huge.
Curiosity. Okay. That's 1 word. Great.
I think self-motivated, have agency.
Okay.
Right. Have agency. And then I love the term stick-to-itiveness, right? They can stick to the hard stuff. So like they're curious. Yeah, they're tenacious, right? So they're curious. They have agency, they're self-motivated, and they're going to stick to it, right?
Right.
Those 3 things. And I'm telling you what, those are not, some people say, oh, I'm not curious, or I'm not, I'm not self-motivated. Brian, if you go back to our number 1 episode and work your way through there, if you do the things that we've been talking about, that is going to strengthen all 3 of those things. That's a great question, Brian. I've never been asked that.
Yeah. And to be tenacious, I can tell you, maybe stubborn would be the negative way to put it. So you're on the right path. If people start saying, well, you're kind of stubborn in this area. Are you sure you're doing it the right way? So there's something to be said about being curious and yet stubborn. Curious to change, but stubborn to stay forth and keep the path going. And while that sounds like it's contradictory, it isn't. It's complementing. So I love what you said there. Curious, self-motivated, and tenacious. Okay, let's move on, because I had to ask that extra question. And
I just want to add one more thing to the self-motivated. And I think the term agency, and that's a term that's kind of come and gone and is coming back again. But if you don't feel like you are able to create the change that you want to, even if you're self-motivated, without agency, and I have to think about this a little bit more, but those 2 are kind of intertwined with each other. But agency is, you feel like you can do that you're able to do that. And, I would say nothing's stopping you, right? But there's a lot of people that just feel like, well, how could I do that, right? Who am I? Whether it's in the business, starting a business, or even just working in a business. Well, how could I actually make, ask to make a change in the business, or bring up an idea? Who am I to do that? So I'm going to mark these down. I want to think about this a little bit more, but I think those are 3 killer ideas.
I like
them.
And
those are things that can be, you can improve those 3 areas as you move forward, meaning that you don't have to be born with this stuff.
Right.
Right.
No.
You can,
and that's what's great about
build
this.
on this.
I like them. Absolutely. Number 5, what hobbies does the Method Man have in his spare time?
Oh boy. So I would say number 1 is I'm a huge reader. And it was mostly in the back in the day, it was a lot of business books. But I've learned to like fiction. And what I've found is, and then even a little bit of science fiction, what I'm finding is as crazy it is, Brian, that the more fiction and science fiction you read, it actually, the old term sharpens the saw, but I'm telling you what, it really helps your thinking, and you can absolutely apply ideas that come from there into other parts of your life, which is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Any
The
others?
Yeah, the second hobby is, so we have two, again, we're not multimillionaires. We have two properties in northern Wisconsin, and it is so much fun spending time there, renovating the property, landscaping, doing remodeling, and then during the seasons, whether it's boating, fishing, snowmobiling, whatever. So, having those places to go. I always talk about grounding. So, get your barefoot on the ground. You're enjoying the time up in the Northwoods. So I would say between reading and enjoying my time up north, those are my hobbies.
Those are two good, healthy hobbies. I like
I
it.
bet.
I like it. Okay, this is great. So we got through the 5, and I got 2 bonus questions here for you. And actually, this first one builds on the fact that you're a huge reader. So we're going to actually see if that's true or not. And so I want to know what your top 3 books that you've read in the last, I put 10 years or ever. So you give me what you want there. But the top
Yep.
3 books.
Yeah, the top one has not changed since 1985. The Goal. The Goal by Eli Goldratt. Goldratt. It's a business novel that's about what they call constraints theory, but it is stuck with me for, think how many decades now. It's an incredible amount of time, and I'm amazed at the amount of time that I go back and pick that up. And it's amazing the number of books that have followed it and have been written subsequent to it that keep focusing back on he was an Israeli, I think he was a physicist that became a business consultant. So that's my number one. Number 2 would be the 7 Habits. That
7
is,
Habits by Stephen Covey.
yes. I remember the first time I read that. That was a late 80s, early 90s book. And when I first read that, I said, if anybody can live that life, they're an angel, they're a special person. But I'm telling you what, his insights into how you interact with people and working on your inner self first. And this isn't all woo-woo stuff. I mean, this is like solid. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. Those 2 books are must reads. But it really talks about working on yourself first, and then starting to look at then how can you have impact on things outside of yourself. And that one has stuck with me forever. So those are books that I keep returning to. The third one is, I can't think of the name of it right now. Actually, I'm going to look on my Kindle. It's a newer science fiction book, and it really opened my mind up again to his name is I think it's called I think it might be The Ring of Fire. I'm gonna spend one more minute looking, Brian, then I'm gonna
check it out. Check it out.
But so I do read, and I usually have 3-4 books laying around, and I pick them up, and people are like, how do you do that? It's like, well, it depends on what I want to read. But I will have at any given time probably 3 books that I'm reading at a time. And I also learned early on, you can walk away from a book. If you don't like it, walk away from it. Do not feel compelled to read the darn book. And I've also learned to scan the cover, inside cover, table of contents, the intros to each of the, especially for more technical types of things.
Yes. And I've learned
then
to
read the intros.
Skip certain parts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it's not adding, the other point, I'm going to leave it with this. If you have a goal, what you're trying to learn or whatever you're working on in your business, it's so much different reading So
Yes,
like
it
if
is.
your goal is to build a specific thing or to learn a specific thing right now, one, it'll narrow down the books that you'll read at that time. The other one is now you have a purpose for reading it. Now, fiction's a different animal, but if you're just reading business books or trying to find something to read, think about what you're trying to build, what you're trying to learn, and then apply that and use that mindset. And that way, to your point, you can just go in and look at the book and say, what pieces of this book are of value to me for this
It makes
purpose?
it
Not,
tremendously fun too. It makes it
yeah,
a ton of fun when
it
you're like, can
it
I
does.
apply this part, and highlighting it, and absolutely. Okay, I got
Yeah.
one more here. I'm gonna hit
Yes.
you with. You ready? What is one thing you'd like to do, or place you'd like to go, or something you'd like to invest in? So it could be like a personal action that you've always wanted to do. Oh, I've always wanted to go skydiving without a parachute, or something like that. Or something that you'd want to invest in, or business you'd like to do, or someplace, man, I've always wanted to go to the Antarctic in the summertime, something like that.
I so it's Croatia. So
Oh,
I've
yeah.
spent some time in Europe, and I can't tell you in the last probably 5 years the number of people that have spent time in Croatia and came
Yes.
back, and they were just blown away by the beauty of that country. How great the people are, the food, everything. They just said it is like one of the most amazing places in the world to see. So that's on my bucket list, and it's not like in the next 10 years. I mean, I expect hopefully in the next 5 years, the last will be going to Croatia.